learn more, and remember, at Duffy's, our game is always on.
Now, it's time for a little R&R.
Ball into the bucket, lays it up and in.
Ball game, Rizzo! Live in the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios, this is Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
This team is going to be tough when they finally get it together.
Sit back and relax. Let Russo and Rizzo take you home.
Oh, mercy! Light him up, Colin!
Russo and Rizzo, ESPN 106.3. Good afternoon, May 28th, 2025. A little bit after 4. We got Colin Russo, Mike Rizzo, and Christian Cat on ESPN 106.3. Next 2 hours, right here, streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter/X, and also on your radio dial at ESPN 106.3. Got a packed program today. We're going to hear from Steve Pollitziner, the Good Karma Brands president. We're going to hear from the voice of the 305, Jonathan Zaslow. Little Panthers talk as they got Game 5 coming up tonight. Lot to talk about, lot to do, and it starts with that Knick game last night. Game 4 in Indiana, and a very good game at that, very back and forth, and the Pacers were able to pull it out, 130-121 final score. Tyrese Haliburton probably put together the best game of his entire career. 32 points, 15 assists, 12 rebounds, no turnovers, 3 steals. Absolutely outstanding, and the Pacers take a 3-1 series lead at that. It goes to show, you see a lot of it when you're going throughout sports media today and the reactions of everything. People are trying to figure out where Tyrese Haliburton falls and where does he lie in the grand scope of the NBA and the big-time players. Does he draw? Does he bring people to stadiums? The bottom line is he is the best postseason performer playing right now. And he is probably somebody that I would take over anybody that's remaining playing outside of maybe Gilgeous-Alexander. He is that good. He is playing that good. And for lack of a better term, he's a complete star. He is. He's a complete star. I don't need regular season accolades to match, because we said the same thing about Jimmy Butler. Playoff riser is more valuable than regular season, guy who stockpiles awards, Embiid. You'd rather somebody like Jimmy Butler in a big spot than somebody like James Harden or Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid and James Harden both have MVP awards. But in a playoff series, are you really taking James Harden and Joel Embiid? Or are you taking somebody like Jimmy Butler? Are you going to take somebody who is a great postseason performer? Tyrese Haliburton's in that category. And what he did last night is nothing short of amazing. He was awesome. He was unbelievable. And I think it's a little tiresome to try to, characterize him as something that he's not, because what he is a star. That's the bottom line.
He's been doing it, I think, for the last 2 years, right? For the last 2 years in the postseason, he's really turned it up into another gear. And I think it all started versus Milwaukee this year. The MO for Indiana and their success this year in the playoffs has been take the first 2 games on the road. They have not had home court a single time, but they've been able to steal home court the first 2 games of the series. A lot of it has to do with Haliburton and how he plays in these games. I don't know how you could sit here and not call him a superstar right now. I really don't. And I am very bitter for personal reasons because my team got bounced by Haliburton and the Pacers. But I'd be an idiot to sit here and not realize that this guy has been, as you said, the best player in the playoffs. You can't even argue that. So how are we going to call this guy the best player in the playoffs all year long in 2025 and not call him a superstar? He's showing up in the biggest moments. Isn't that what a superstar is? Now, we could get into, a superstar has to be marketable. Oh, a superstar has to be someone that it has to fill butts and seats. I don't think the Pacer team is that. They're a fun team to watch, but for instance, if it is Indiana, if Indiana is able to capitalize on this 3-1 lead right now and go to the finals, if Oklahoma City closes things out tonight up 3-1, if it is Oklahoma City and Indiana, I don't care about the finals. That's on me, though, because Indiana's a good team, and Oklahoma City has been the best team in the league all year long. I as far as the star thing, I go back to what I said. How do you not call this guy a superstar after 32, 15, and 12 and all the big plays he's made late in games?
Right. The way I look at it is great players are built by their moments, and playoff moments triumph above all. Let's think about Haliburton for a second. In Game 5, when Gary Trent had about 3 threes in overtime in Game 5 against the Bucks, and they were down, basically backs against the wall, down 7 with a minute to go. And Tyrese Haliburton gets an and one with about 17 seconds to go. They get a steal, and Haliburton goes coast to coast with 2 seconds remaining to score a game-winning basket in overtime to knock the Bucks off. If you even want to add to, let's add to it. Tyrese Haliburton's father gets in Giannis Antetokounmpo's face after the game, and they were essentially a second away from going to blows. Fast forward to the next series in Game 2 of that Eastern Conference semis against the Cleveland Cavaliers. They were down 7 again. And Haliburton, mind you, was somebody who was at the free throw line, made the first, purposely missed the second, came out, got a 4-point play to win the game for them, getting his own rebound off a missed free throw. That was another moment. That closed the series all in all for Cleveland, that game. Then you go to the next series. And on 2 different times now in Game 1, where I know that was Aaron Nesmith's game and getting them back in, but he hit the game-tying shot as the clock hit 0 and did the choke signal and then closed them out in overtime and played well. And then in Game 4, in probably the biggest must-win game of this entire series so you could avoid going to 6 or 7, he has 32, 15, 12, 0 turnovers, and 3 steals. What more are you looking for?
Right.
What more are you looking for? He has put together a playoff resume that rivals some guys that are in the Hall of Fame in one postseason. That's how good he is playing right now. I think it's time to put into perspective just how much he offers the Pacers and just how much he offers the NBA, because he is a big game, a big moment player. And if you're on the team, like Mike said he was, that you're not going to be interested if the Pacers are in there. And I think part of me thinks this is because they beat the Cavs, and I think that's why Mike's tuned out. And he can say no all he wants. That's totally the reason. But if you're saying that you're not interested in Haliburton or the Pacers or what they have to offer, I could understand OKC. I really can, because I empathize with that.
Why is that, though? SGA and the way he plays?
They've dominated. They haven't had moments. They're not as entertaining. They're not there. They don't have the best offense, but they got the best defense. They're a classic great team that is quiet. The Pacers are a high-flying offensive. They get the number 1 offense. They're number 1 in pace. They're number 1 in scoring. They're number 1 in assists. They move the ball, and they're clutch. That's why that team is fun to watch. But for the Thunder, they're unlikable because I don't think they have a lot of personalities on the team that lend themselves to the story of the NBA. I don't know how you don't see it with Indiana. I really don't. Because that's a team that is entertaining, that plays in big games, is and can, by and large, without a doubt, give OKC the best punch. And they still might lose in 5.
I think it's because there wasn't a lot of buzz around them all year long.
That's it. If
there
you
was no buzz, brother.
The NBA programs you. Like everything, the NBA programs the fan to care about what they care about. You wonder, why do you only care about the big market? Well, guess what? The NBA only shows the big market, the big player. The NBA is still cashing in on LeBron and Steph's checks instead of looking outward. Then you got a bunch of European stars who take over. They thought it would be John Morant. They thought it would be Zion Williamson. They got Nikola Jokic sitting there. Anthony Edwards has not played great in the postseason, has not had moments. And they've been begging for him to have moments, and he hasn't. The one guy they forgot about was Tyrese Haliburton and the Pacers, and they've sort of swept under the radar because they haven't had to play in a Game 7, but they've still played in some magical games. If you're not interested in what the Pacers are selling, it's because you've probably been fooled that the NBA didn't show you a second of meaningful Pacer basketball and didn't market a lick of Pacer basketball throughout the season. That's why.
Or you're a Nick Cavalier and Bucks fan.
Unless you're bitter. Unless you're bitter.
I'm very
bitter.
bitter.
If you're a Buck fan, I don't know how you weren't beating anybody. And from your perspective as a Cleveland fan, I would feel better about this because this team is really, really good.
I guess.
If they went and lost to 4 to the Knicks, you'd be sick to your stomach.
I don't know. I wanted retribution. I feel like that Cavalier team got hurt. That's what did them in. I think that's a bigger picture problem, Colin, and guys being soft, neither here nor there. It's not about the Cavs. It's about the Pacers. And the fact of the matter is, once the Pacers, and listen, maybe the Knicks win. All right, maybe they win this game, game 5 coming up tomorrow night on TNT at 8 o'clock. But if Indiana does win, Colin, they've lost 3 times to reach the NBA Finals. If they close out the Knicks, they will have lost 3 times, 1 game a series. And what's more impressive for me is that I grew up in the NBA that, God, home court is everything. You love playing in front of your screaming fans. Let's rewind back to the Golden State eras when people were getting blown out by 30 points. Every time the series would flip home, teams are getting blown out by 30. This Indiana team is completely changing the narrative. And I understand that the Bucks series was at Indiana the first 2 games. I get that. And they've split in Indiana. But to go to Cleveland, get out 2-0, to go to the Knicks and get out 2-0, and on the road, they are completely changing what home court means in the NBA. And I can even argue the Knicks did for a little bit, right? The Knicks played solid on the road all year. They lost 1 game on the road heading into this.
They've played great on the road.
But I think Indiana, it's time to give them some flowers. If they lose 1 game per series, it just completely dominate the Eastern Conference.
And they've played, 14 games in this so far this postseason? Most of them have been pretty good. Most of them have been a lot of fun to watch. Every Knick game so far has been a good game. I don't know what you're looking for. If you're not into the Pacers right now, I don't know what you're looking for. I really don't. You don't like basketball. You don't like the NBA. That's the bottom. All right, you don't like the NBA. This would be better if LeBron and Luka and Hachimura were here? No.
They didn't belong. And
that's it.
That was clearly the case when they got gentlemen swept by a team that's about to get gentlemen swept by the Oklahoma City Thunder. By the way, Thunder went 7 with Denver, too. Put that in perspective.
Right. And the Pacers are the second most impressive team I've watched this postseason. Bar none. Maybe the most impressive. That's it. It's them and OKC.
Okay.
That's it. So that's who's going to play in the finals. And we want to know, do you care? 888-760-3776. Does that matchup interest you? If so, why? If not, why? I'm more interested in if you're not interested in that. Is it because of the market? Is it because of the player? Do we need more LeBron and Steph?
I like what you said about the program thing.
You're programmed to like
it.
What the NBA wants you to
For sure.
Like.
And we've seen basketball pundits like the great Charles Barkley call out, networks and whatever for only covering the Lakers and whatever. But listen, to ESPN's credit, that's kind of what sells is the Lakers and Luka and LeBron.
It's the chicken or the egg.
It's what people kind of want.
Hold on. It's the chicken or the egg. Hold on. It's the chicken or the egg. What are they going to say? They want Steph and LeBron, but we've only fed them Steph and LeBron for 10 years. So because we've only fed them Steph and LeBron, therefore, when they want Steph and LeBron, we got to give them what they want because that's what they want. But they want that because that's what we gave them.
And give them some credit, though. For a long time, Steph and LeBron was the story. I could argue for the last 4.5, 5 years it hasn't been the story. So I'll meet you halfway. I think it was completely in their business to talk about that and focus on those teams and those players.
It hasn't been the story because it hasn't been in the final round. It hasn't been the finals for that long. You're right. Until, what was that, 2018, whatever it was? And they still can't stop talking about it.
And I also think Steph and LeBron in their primes are a step ahead of anybody right now within the NBA.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You're talking about why this is a problem. It's a problem because they program you with the same exact 2 players and 3 different teams, and then all of a sudden everybody's wondering, why doesn't nobody care about the Indiana Pacers? Because you haven't seen the Indiana Pacers.
I'll agree with that.
Because they don't show you anything about the Indiana Pacers.
But isn't there something to be said about how great LeBron and Steph
there's no
were?
doubt
There's
that
no
great.
one, Colin, there's no one in the league.
There's no doubt. There's no doubt. Nobody's arguing this.
That's what I worry about. As a guy, Colin, we both love basketball.
Nobody is that desperate to see utter, complete greatness because nobody's resonated with the Europeans. And the Europeans have dominated the league for 7 years. And Giannis is a star, but Giannis doesn't garner the attention that those two that we alluded to does. Jokic, the same thing. And Jokic is not that far behind what they're able to do. LeBron and Steph are all-time greats. Jokic is an all-time great. Giannis is an all-time great. People haven't resonated with it. Why? I think there's a mixture of things that go into it, but it's all about marketability. And that's when you talk about the superstar, and I'm not saying it's a problem, but the NBA, you like what the NBA tells you to like. And then when they tell you, if what they tell you to like is not around, then people look, well, hold on. Why isn't nobody interested in this NBA Finals? Why isn't anybody interested in that? Because you don't hear about it. Why do you think every year the Christmas game has got LeBron and Steph highlighting? And it's been that way for what? 12 years? We could probably go through it.
More with longer.
And then it's been the Knicks and the Celtics. Every year. Warriors, Lakers, Knicks, Celtics. Bar none. Maybe Philly. The point being is when Steph and LeBron are there at the end of the line, great. The NBA prospers. But the NBA did a bad job at trying to shift the spotlight to different things, to multiple things, to cover their tracks. So when Pacers Thunder does 5, 6, 7 million in game one, and people are like, well, why doesn't anybody care? It's because the NBA doesn't tell you to care.
Now, to the NBA's credit, I don't think anybody expected the Pacers to be at this point. The Pacers were not the talk of the regular season. Now, Colin, you brought to my attention they had an unreal, last 60% of their season?
They started 9-14, and then they turned it around.
So fair play to that. I'll get on them for not getting with the Oklahoma City train because they won 68 games. This was a team that was the best team in the NBA all year long. So I'll listen to that. I'll listen to not promoting the Thunder. But as far as the Pacers, nobody expected them to be at this spot. But I think, Colin, if people are going to watch the finals, I think it's more because of the Pacers, because they've had the drama, because they've had victories after they were down 7 points in 40 seconds. You've never seen these things before.
Right.
So
that's why you can't complain about it. Because they've been entertaining. They've been fun.
And quickly, you said Giannis and the Joker. I think a lot of it has to do with Giannis being on bad teams after his finals run.
They
can't get out of the second round, Colin.
Hold on.
They can't get out of this.
That's not fair.
They can't get out of the second round. He hasn't been
what
there.
has LeBron done? LeBron hasn't been. It's been to one conference final since he won the championship 5 years ago.
But he's got the past experience. Giannis has won one time. Bron won 4 and multiple MVPs.
Yes, so does Giannis. Multiple MVPs.
And then the Joker. I think it's not what the NBA wants. I think the NBA would get behind Giannis if his teams were worth the damn after winning the finals.
Because the NBA never got off the LeBron and Steph boat. That's why. That's it.
They're squeezing every juice left of it.
And that's a problem.
You blame them? You blame them.
Why do you think they're struggling now? Why do you think people are struggling for something to care about, somebody to care about? Why do you think Anthony Edwards every 5 seconds is trying to be beholden to this crown of the biggest next big star of the league? The NBA has not known how to get off of the LeBron and Steph train. And they're in for a world of trouble when they actually do walk away in the next couple years, maybe next 2 years. And they're going to have nowhere to look because they haven't done a good job. And this is what the NFL does an outstanding job as. The NFL makes everybody matter. The NBA does not. The NBA, in their eyes, they're tunnel visioned on 4 franchises and 6 players. And it should have been 12 franchises and 24 players. And they haven't done that. And that's to nobody else's fault but their own. And I care because I like the NBA and I like HALIBURTON. I think the postseason has been, other than this series, has been mostly pretty good. Great in the second round. But when we are eventually having this conversation 8 days from now of why isn't nobody watching the NBA final when it's Pacers Thunder, and maybe the games stink, there's something to that. But it's because the NBA has done a bad job marketing different stars and franchises. That's it to me. And it's not because of what the public wants, because the public wants what the NBA feeds them. It's not, you're thinking that the NBA is reactionary to what the public thinks they care about. The public cares about what they see. And they see what the NBA spews out, social media, nonstop, everything like this.
It's why, and quickly want to go back to the whole dynasty conversation, Kyle. What did the NBA spit to you in the 80s? The Lakers and the Celtics, because they were that good and they were always there. What did they spit to you in the 90s? Michael Jordan. and a little bit bad boy pissing for about 3-4 years.
I don't think that leans itself to business when the NBA is thinking about how there's 7 different champions in 7 different years. I don't think that helps.
Now, we talked in our pre-show meeting. I said there was 6 years separating LeBron in the league and Jordan's final year at the Bulls. You astutely pointed out that the NBA had Shaq and Kobe and then the rise of the Spurs. Okay. I feel like the NBA is in a spot right now where they don't have that. Listen, parity's good. We talk about that a lot. But as far as selling, as far as interest, I think I'm on the spectrum now, Colin, of you need a LeBron. You need a great team.
Because they haven't fed you what you should care about. That's it.
But is the food the problem? Yes,
because they feed you the same thing every 5 seconds for 15 years.
But is it because the players aren't on the level of the past player?
Nobody's thinking like that.
Fair enough.
Nobody's watching 32, 15, 12, 0 turnovers, and 3 steals and thinking, I've seen better. Nobody's doing that. That's the bottom line. Nobody's watching 3 7+ point comebacks in 3 different rounds of the postseason, 2 of which on the road, and thinking, I've seen better.
I hate to pull it back to the whole direction of the league thing. I just think they're just grasping onto Steph and LeBron because they really have no other way to turn. And maybe it is, to your point, shame on them for not embracing the parity of the league. But Colin, they've always had something to grasp to, dating back to the Celtics and the Lakers in the 80s. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Yes, stars sell. There's no doubt about that. But they relied on Jordan when Jordan was a huge star, when Jordan was in the finals every single year. Magic Johnson and Bird were in the finals year in and year out. You don't have that right now. Those players are not there, so you have to pivot. And they haven't. And nowadays, that was also the old days when it's just 2 games on NBC every night.
You're right.
With Costas and Musburger. That was it. There was no social media. There was local coverage, and that's it. Nowadays, you could follow anything. You could watch any game. You could follow any team. You could see any of that. And they don't push it out enough. That is it. I think this is simple. I think if you wonder why people are, where's the interest? It's because the NBA hasn't fed it to you. The NBA, the public, it's all like the media perception. They haven't given you what they put their stock in the wrong marbles. That's it. They missed out on Zion. That didn't work out. Ja Morant, they thought would be a big one. That didn't work out. They got a couple European stars who are now eliminated. They haven't been able to sort of crack the code on the Thunder and Shy and giving them it's at least some attention because everybody is down on their style of play. And the Knicks are a big story because of the franchise, Brunson, but that's not that great of a team. They beat Boston. They're not that great. That team is not top 3 in the NBA, top 4 in the NBA. That's my takeaway there.
And I hate to say it, Boston beat themselves for a couple of those games too.
It's not like you're watching an all-time, an astutely great team. You are with Indiana and you are with the Thunder. But I could understand the Thunder. They haven't cracked the code on that. But if you're watching the games, I don't know how you're not being completely sold on what you're seeing with the Indiana Pacers. That's Mike Rizzo, Colin Russo, Christian Cat, 888-760-3776, the number to get into the program on Russo and Rizzo. Is HALIBURTON the next big star? Can you get behind the Pacers? Can you get behind the Pacers-Thunder final? As a casual NBA fan, does that even interest you? If it doesn't, why? Let us know. 888-760-3776. We take a time out here. Russo and Rizzo, ESPN 106.3.
Live from the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. This is ESPN 106.3.
The quality of our choices affects the quality of our lives. So, when it comes to how you move, do you choose to see a doctor or go to the #1 orthopedic specialist in the world, backed by a team who custom tailor your treatment? Do you choose to live with limitations or live life to the fullest by going to the place that's /1 at getting people back to what they love? Choose better, move better. Locations in West Palm Beach and Wellington. Learn more at hss.edu/Florida.
At St. Lucie Battery and Tire, batteries came before tires. We've been selling and servicing all types of batteries for over 50 years. So when you need a battery for nearly anything, we have it, as well as the fast professional installation you need. We carry premium batteries for all your needs: automotive, commercial, marine, RV, and specialty. We also offer delivery and on-site installation. serving our customers quality products for over 50 years in the home of honest, reliable service. Go to slbt.com and book your next appointment.
Mike Rizzo here with the Sports Business Minute presented by the FAU MBA in Sport Management Program. The Knicks coming back in Game 3, I think, was one of the best things that could happen for the NBA because there have certainly been some really good ratings in the playoffs so far within the NBA, specifically with that Game 3. 6.6 million people watched that New York Knicks Indiana Pacer Game 3 in Indiana where the Knicks stormed back from being down as much as 20 to go on and win the game. Does the NBA need a big name like New York to be in the playoffs to continue this streak of good ratings? Time will tell, but 6.6 million speaks for itself. This is the Sports Business Minute presented by the FAU MBA in Sport Management Program. Accelerate your career in sports with the program committed to developing top-notch executives and managers with a focus on the job placement for students and graduates. The FAU MBA in Sport Management Program.
As market dynamics change, the quality and service you receive from your accounting firm shouldn't. Partner-owned since 1923, Anshin Accountants and Advisors take the time to get to know you and your unique circumstances to help resolve complex issues and develop innovative tax and accounting solutions tailored to meet your goals. If you're a high net worth individual or business owner eager for a strategy to maximize tax savings, let Anshin deliver value where others can't. Visit anchin.com. Anshin Accountants and Advisors, recalculating what's possible.
May is National Burger Month, so grab your MVP card and head to Duffy's Sports Grill for a big Burger Blitz celebration. Enjoy Duffy's award-winning half-pound certified Angus beef original cheeseburger and french fries, starting at just $8.99 with the purchase of any beverage. Plus, don't forget about Duffy's famous 2-for-1 drinks, all day, every day. Visit duffysmvp.com to learn more, and remember, at Duffy's, our game is always on.
Let's get back to the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. This is Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
Well, you got two closeout opportunities today and tomorrow on the NBA. We got the T-Wolves and the Thunder in OKC. OKC up 3-1 in the series. And you get the Florida Panthers with another closeout opportunity as well, up 3-1 in the series. Back in Carolina, taking on the Hurricanes tonight after the Hurricanes were able to go into Sunrise and beat them 3-0 in Game 4. But because of this, you might as well sprinkle a little action on it and have some fun with a Hard Rock bet.
Absolutely, and I can't wait to talk to Jonathan Zazzle here in a few short moments because I got to see who I'm betting on that Panther game. It's basically a pick'em call with our good friends at Hard Rock Bet, and you could do the same by downloading the app, the Apple App Store, the Google Play Store, and the Battle of the Bets. How about this, Christian? To loop you into the conversation, Christian.
Yeah.
Brian Rowitz got on you last night. I want you to explain to the fans what happened with the Battle of the Bets last night, Christian Catt and our content director, Brian Rowitz.
You know, I could have bet on anything last night. The app on Hard Rock Bet is very expansive, and you have so many options, but the one selection I made was the under in the Knicks game, which was 219.5 points.
Wow.
Well, you saw the final score.
Yeah, not even close.
The over hit with like
31,
maybe 11 minutes to go in the game.
Yeah, 31 points off.
The thing is with Battle of the Bets, if you took my advice, which is code words for fading CCAT, you won your bet, the over. But if you took it to a higher degree and you took the Battle of the Bets over, you cashed out.
Are you excited because you're not hitting anything?
Listen. I care about the show. I care about our fans. And the name of the game in Let's Go Streaking is to build a streak. So if I have to lose my bets each and every night in order to make our fans money, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, and listen, I was on a 7-game winning streak, and Colin took my damn bet last night. I wanted to take the Pacers. Fair play to Colin for going there. Oh, I lost. I'm done. Guards got their butt kicked last night. They won today, naturally. But yeah, I was on a 7-game win streak with our Let's Go Streaking with our good friends at Hard Rock Bet, and I lost last night because Kyle took my damn NBA bet. I am still hot as a stove bet in the NBA, and I hope to get back on track tonight. But folks, that's our good friends at Hard Rock Bet. We talk about it all the time, Colin and I. It's very easy to maneuver on that app. That Discover tab, I think is one of it is the best thing going on right now with sports gambling. You could search anything you want. It's very easy, very great for the experienced gambler too. If you're a newer guy like how I was when I originally started, very easy with that Discover tab. So download it today. That is our good friends at Hard Rock Bet, offered by the Seminole Tribe of Florida. Must be 21 and physically present in the state of Florida to wager. Terms and conditions apply. If you're concerned about gambling, folks, call 1-888-ADMIT-IT. That is 1-888-ADMIT-IT. I'm looking at that Thunder and T-Wolves line tonight, boys. I'll get back to you.
I was thinking about that Thunder T-Wolf game, which is, of course, a closeout opportunity, Game 5. And it's funny because you got two sides of the same coin. Tyrese Halliburton, who the NBA has done a good job at marketing this run, but hasn't done a total great job in, I guess, making him out to be in the grand scope of the league where he stands. On the flip side, it's almost like they're force-feeding you Anthony Edwards. And Anthony Edwards is not budging. And he's not giving you moments. He's not giving you big closeout games. I mean, I'm trying to think of Anthony Edwards' huge playoff games that he's had. He was bad in that Game 7 against Denver last year, one that they won. He was terrible against Dallas in the early part of the series in the conference final last year. Then they fell down, I believe, 3-0 in that series. And he was bad in Game 4. He's 5 of 13 from the field. He was terrible in that closeout game against the Lakers in the first round. He hasn't given you a ton of opportunity to have playoff moments. But the team is pretty good. The team is deep. And they've sort of stayed afloat here. But it looks to be that they're on the outside looking in. They're dead in the water. And it's probably because the Thunder are a lot better than them. And that's true.
It was the first time the Minnesota got tested, I think, Colin, in the playoffs. I don't want to say that they had the country club treatment, but the Lakers were bad. Let's call it for it. The Lakers were bad, and the Warriors were without Steph Curry. It's a cop-out, and I know you can't stand it when I say this. The Warriors win that series with Steph. So, I think that's evident right now. They're about to get gentlemen swept. Now, I give credit
to a 70-win team.
And one for the listen. They won a game by 42 points, 143 to 101.
And they were right in the game
when
Anthony Edwards had a bad game, and they were right in the game.
I understand.
In Game 4.
I understand. So maybe I'm not giving them some credit they deserve, but I still think Golden State wins that. Back to Ant. People are trying to make Ant something he's not right now. Maybe Anthony Edwards. I'm not saying Ant's never going to be that guy. He's young. He's a young guy in the NBA. There's something about going to the playoffs, losing, licking your wounds, and coming back better. I mean, Jordan lost to the Pistons how many times? 3 times? So, listen, he's too young of a player to completely give up on. But right now, I'm talking about right now, people are trying to turn Ant something, turn him into something that he's not. And that's a big-time player in a big-time spot. Is Ant a top 10 player in the league? Sure. But is he going to be someone who puts the team over the edge like a LeBron, like a Steph, like the greats of the past? I'm not so sure about that right now.
He was my major problem with him. After that Game 4, in which he was he had 2 field goals attempted in the first half, and he shot 7 threes. He shot 13 total field goals. He had 5 turnovers, 6 assists. OKC, they blitzed him, they double teamed him constantly, and he sort of played as a playmaker. He moved the ball. He tried to get his role players opportunities, and he never really got going offensively. First of all, OKC signing up for that. That's exactly what they want. Number 2, then he goes out post-game and says, he's like, I'm just trying to make the right play all night, because they asked him about, why aren't you being aggressive? He's like, I'm just trying to make the right play. I'm not trying to be aggressive there. They were shutting that part of my offensive game down. I'm trying to be aggressive. I mean, I'm trying to be a good teammate.
Right.
My problem with that is, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but we can't spin that as a positive and then look to LeBron, who dealt with this for years, even into the early part of Cleveland, into the early part of Miami, and even in the first stint in Cleveland, where he was a little passive in a big spot, where LeBron was always the guy to make the right play, quote unquote, and he never heard the end of it. Never heard the end of it.
And Kyle, especially that Dallas Mavericks series, first year here in Miami.
Passive. And he wasn't great in the fourth quarter of that series, and it was excusatory. And people went after him. Jason Tatum gets this all the time. Jason Tatum, and the thing is, Jason Tatum wins. He could have a 17, 18-point game where he doesn't necessarily do a ton offensively, and they win, and it's a problem for Tatum. But if on the flip side, he's had games where he's had a 51-point Game 7 against Philadelphia, and it's sort of a back and forth. But Anthony Edwards, on this sense, can sit there and say, I was just trying to make the right play. Well, dude, we're paying you the max contract. You're 23 years old. You're the best player on the team. We're 4-1 in the postseason when you score over 30 points. We're 20-6 on the regular season when you score over 30 points. We're paying you and playing you to score. And you don't, or the OKC Thunder are shutting that down, and you're almost just playing into their hands.
But hang on, Kyle. He did this against Golden State. He had stinkers against Golden State. And I could argue he had stinkers against the Lakers as well.
He was that 0-11 game against the Lakers in that closeout game. He's erratic offensively.
That's why I said
you don't know what Anthony Edwards you are going to get offensively every game. That to me, and he's young, so you could give it, all right. But this is the second conference final now where he has not played up to par. And this is a better team than they are. But he hasn't played up to par. You think if he had a 25-point game, that game would be the same?
No.
And their role players played great. You think if Anthony Edwards gave him a little bit of a boost offensively, they would have been okay? Yeah, probably. It'd be 2-2. So it's almost like he's not allowing them, he's not seizing the moment when other players are. That's my problem.
And Kyle, with the departure of Cat, they needed him to score a lot more this postseason. They needed him to be a scorer this postseason.
And Randall played terrible in Game 4.
And listen, I already said I might be in the wrong on this. And listen, if I am, 888-760-3776. But I go back to the Lakers not being the team we thought they were. Shame on us. And Golden State being without Curry. I think the Timberwolves have kind of been flying under that flag of, hey, we got here, but do we deserve it? I think the Thunder right now are exposing it.
You can't say they didn't deserve it because they won 2 playoff series, and they won 2 playoff series in 5 games. They were 10-2 coming into the series.
I blame the Lakers more. And listen, excuses.
Hold on, excuses. They were supposed to beat them, and they did. And they beat them in 5 games.
I blame the Lakers more, and I blame Curry being unavailable in a lot of these games.
How is that fair when the same thing happened last year, but they beat Denver in 7 games? They did it last year, so this seems tested. I know it was with Towns and not Randall, but it's the same makeup.
It's just different. I don't think
that's fair. Different. I don't think that's fair.
They need him to be that scorer. They need him to be that 35 point player. He's not that player right now. And he's 23.
He picks and chooses moments to be that player.
So 23. This isn't me writing. Please don't write right now. I'm not writing off Anthony Edwards. 23 years old. Guys have struggled and came back later on in their career. But at the 23 years old right now, it is the moment too big in some of these big spots. We'll see. He's a young player.
It's just
the young player.
You need to be more consistent with your offense. You can't get away with that. That's not going to cut it. No. Not as a max contract player, a 27-point-per-game scorer, somebody who they rely on in big spots in the postseason. I'm not saying he made the wrong plays. He should have shot contested shots. But 13 total shots and a passive first half is not going to cut it in a must-win game. You want to compare must-win games? Look at Indiana and look at Minnesota in Game 4.
Yeah.
And look how HALIBURTON did and look how Anthony Edwards did. So that shows you all you need to know. And he's young, but they were drafted in the same draft class.
And Ant's considered the superstar, and HALIBURTON is considered
forgotten about?
There you go.
About moments. Edwards hasn't had those moments.
Now HALIBURTON has had those 4-point playoff games, but the Pacers as a team are able to,
because that's not his game. He's not the scorer. Anthony Edwards is, we need you to score.
That and the Pacers are able to get ahead in series to where if HALIBURTON has a stinker, it's not the worst.
And everybody has bad games. I'm not saying it's a bad thing to have a bad game.
Not everyone is
how you play.
Not everyone is LeBron and Steph that'll score 25 to 30 points every single playoff game.
And they've also had
in their prime.
They've had bad games too in the postseason. So it happens to everybody, but it's a matter of how you play. There are games when you're aggressive and games when you're not. You're almost getting force-fed this Anthony Edwards stuff. Play better in a bigger game, and then we'll get to him.
And you heard Finch, too, their head coach. What game, Kyle? Game 1 of this series? Remember, he kind of said, hey, we need him to be more aggressive in a post-game press conference. So I think his coach realizes that, which leads me to a question.
It was in the Warriors series, yeah.
Yep. Kyle, what do they need to do if they lose in 5? Is it get rid of Gobert and add maybe an instant offensive scorer?
I don't know if I'm ready to say what they need to change. I don't think we're there yet.
That's fine.
But the way I look at it is,
I don't think this team is constructed to win an NBA Finals right now if Anthony Edwards isn't going to go off for 30, 35 points.
Well, that's it. He's 23. So that's your next step, is him to continue to develop.
Get him some help.
But that was not a good performance in a must-win environment over in Game 4. You got Game 5 tonight between the Thunder and the T-Wolves. We got a little Jonathan Zaslow. We'll talk about the Panthers getting a closeout opportunity tonight between them and the Carolina Hurricanes up in Carolina. That's Game 5. That is tonight as well. We'll talk to Jonathan Zaslow about it on the flip side. Stick around for it. It's Russo Rizzo, ESPN 106.3.
Live from the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. This is ESPN 106.3.
Get this. Joey and me were supposed to go to this concert next week, right? But then something terrible happened. Joey was driving without a seatbelt. But he didn't wreck. No, he got pulled over. Now Joey has to pay for a seatbelt ticket instead of a concert ticket, and I have to go by myself. How lame is that? So Joey, if you're out there, you're an idiot. Wear your seatbelt or you'll get a ticket.
All across the country, cops are cracking down. Click it or ticket, day and night.
Funded by the Florida Department of Transportation.
Wing Wednesday. Brought to you by Hurricane Grill and Wings. 30 bold flavors, ice-cold beer, handcrafted cocktails. Your home for sports is Hurricane Grill and Wings. Find your spot at hurricanewings.com.
Eggs cost $7. A small coffee costs $5. What is happening? Hi, it's Evan Cohen from Unsportsmanlike, and at least one thing hasn't changed. ESPN 106.3 is still completely free to listen to. No hidden fees, no surcharge, just sports. Glorious sports.
I'm Ellie Anajar of Anajar and Levine. Injured in a car crash? Never rush to settle with insurance companies, and never settle for just any attorney. Demand Anajar and Levine. Our experienced legal team will fight to win you the maximum compensation you deserve. Call me, Ellie Anajar, for a free consultation and take back control of your life. Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733.
In office, West Palm Beach.
While it's not always possible to see contaminated water coming out of the faucet, the taste is difficult to ignore. And what about plastics and pharmaceuticals now in the water? The team at Culligan is here to help. Culligan offers water testing and reverse osmosis systems designed to filter out those contaminants right at the source. Culligan has been helping the local community with water issues since 1936. Schedule your appointment today at Culligan.com.
Hey, Culligan man!
He lives in a pineapple under the sea. And he's back at Lone Depot Park. Marlin SpongeBob Day returns Sunday, June 1st as the Marlins take on the Giants. Last year's SpongeBob jersey broke the internet. This year, it's Patrick's turn. Add on the all-new Patrick jersey to your game ticket and complete the collection. Be there or be a barnacle. Grab your tickets now at marlins.com/SpongeBob.
Hi, Kevin Dalton here from the Unlimited Auto Wash Clubs. Time to start getting your ride ready for summer. Stop by the Unlimited Auto Wash Clubs and try out one of our best wash packages, the Ultimate Plus. It gives you everything your car needs, inside and out, including our ceramic graphene coating. Or try one of our unlimited monthly plans, starting as low as $34.95 a month, or with inside and out plus tire shine starting as low as $49.95 a month. Visit any one of our 6 convenient locations or call 561-WASH-ME-TOO.
Hi, I'm Michael Manzo, owner and founder of Manzo's Italian Deli, and
Stop, Dad. After 20 years, people are tired of hearing your voice.
Yeah, and your lame-ass commercials.
Fresh prosciutto, mozzarella, outstanding.
Oh, please.
There's only one reason Manzo's is voted #1 deli in Palm Beach County for 20 years. Our mother.
She makes sure you prepare everything from scratch using only the freshest ingredients.
Manso's Italian Deli is located on Palm Beach Lakes Boulevard, right next to Rain Dancers.
Is that a strip club?
No, it's a steakhouse. Manso's is open weekdays from 8 to 5 and offers free delivery. So stop by or call 697-9411. That's 697-9411.
we also specialize in hot and cold catering for corporate functions and special events.
Just ask anyone who was at my last birthday party.
So, Good Morning America does a story on Bill Belichick. Awesome. National TV. Big spotlight.
Good morning, George. People who aren't even into football are wondering what's going on.
And when they need a clip from the Disney ESPN family, they pick Theoretically Speaking with Theo and C-Cat.
Jordan is on the field.
It's her world, and Bill is just living in it.
Theo and C-Cat? Are you kidding me? We host a national show. I've worshipped Belichick for 2 decades, and they use C-Cat? Congrats, guys. On Sportsmanlike Mornings, theoretically speaking, weekdays at 2. Great.
What would you do with an extra $700? You can earn up to $700 per year with Boost Checking from Flagler Credit Union. Boost Checking pays 7.0 annual percentage yield on balances up to $10,000. That's up to $700 extra to do what you love. Boost Checking from Flagler Credit Union. Requirements apply to earn the highest dividend rates. Limit one checking account per membership. Dividend rates and annual percentage yield subject to change. Business accounts do not qualify. Insured by NCUA, proud partner of Florida Atlantic University Athletics.
Introducing the bold, the powerful, the all-new 2025 Range Rover Sport P530 Dynamic SE. A luxury SUV that commands attention with its refined design, dynamic performance, and cutting-edge technology. Lease the 2025 Range Rover Sport for just $1529 per month for 36 months. Drive in style, power, and comfort, all for just $1529 a month. Visit Land Rover Palm Beach today and take the new Range Rover Sport for a spin. Terms and conditions apply. See dealer for details.
Did you miss theoretically speaking?
I don't think there's 1 ounce of evidence that would put Joe Burrow above Lamar Jackson. Lamar has outplayed him and beat him in their head-to-heads over and over again, so much so that Joe Burrow is now begging the schedule makers to readjust the schedule so that he has a more favorable chance to beat the Ravens. That is weak. At least do that behind closed doors. He was way too proud to poke his chest out and beg them to make a more favorable schedule so he can get some wins when you've missed the playoffs more times than you made them.
It's theoretically speaking, weekdays at 2, here on ESPN 1063.
Let's get back to the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. This is Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 1063.
Colin Russo, Mike Rizzo, Christian Cat, Russo and Rizzo, ESPN 1063. You know, for me, I love starting my day off with the win. I like starting my day off with a spiritual win, and I do that over at F45 West Palm Beach. They got locations in Wellington as well. F45, it's more the functional side of working out, so you feel good, you feel flexible after, you're not stiff, you don't get hurt. 2 coaches on site making sure you're doing everything properly. 45-minute classes, they have it throughout the morning into the afternoon as well, and it's a bunch of like-minded fitness individuals. You just want to go in and just sweat and feel good about it, and you kind of turn your brain off, follow along what it says on the screen, and all of a sudden you blink and it's over, and it's more functional. If you feel better after. That's what I love about F45. Go find a studio near you online, F45, or go to their Instagram, F45 Downtown West Palm Beach. Colin, Mike, Christian, it's time for us to loop in a good friend of program, especially with the Panthers with a closeout opportunity tonight. Let's loop in Mr. Jonathan Zazo, the voice of the 305.
You might know him as the Cooper City Rattlesnake. He's the human flamethrower of Miami sports radio.
Hey, you could be a maniac without being a jerk.
The preacher of the Pat Riley gospel.
They don't complain. They don't make excuses. This is the NBA. Deal with it.
The mayor of Dolphins Delusion.
Can the Bills' offense keep up with the Dolphins' offense?
And the only guy who can go from breaking down the Panthers' power play to cutting a full-blown Ric Flair promo. Woo! Jonathan Zaslow is the voice of the 305.
Welcome in, Zaz. How we doing today? What's going on?
I mean, you could ask me in about 6 hours from now. I'll have a much better answer as far as how I'm doing, but I think for now I'm doing well. I think tonight I'm going to be doing well, too. How are you boys? All right.
Good. Were you at Game 4?
No, I didn't go to Game 4, and maybe I underestimated how much my team needed me. You know, I knew my team needed me in Games 3 and 4 last round, so I went to both games. We won them both. I figured, you know what, they're up 3-0. It seems we got a good thing going right now, so I did the whole Memorial Day thing with my family. I did not go to Game 4. I don't know. Did I drop the ball there?
I went to Game 4. Right. It was good. You know what I did, too? I know this is going to sound like, I'm a newbie to this type of thing, that specific arena. It's only the second game I've been to for the Panthers. I parked at the mall across the street, and that saved me.
Free parking.
Oh, my God. It saved me so much time.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't even know why people park at the arena. It was too easy.
It wasn't that long ago. You guys won't even believe this. It wasn't that long ago that they didn't charge for parking. Parking was included in the ticket price for the game. And when I say not that long ago, I'm going back like probably a dozen or so years ago. But you didn't always have to pay for parking. Crazy, right? So you park across the street like you did there. You found the cheat code. You get to park for free.
It was great. And it was an easy exit. Easier getting out of there.
It's a great
Now,
building.
Zaz, ask Colin about the atmosphere and the crowd.
Well, there's not a lot to cheer about, let's put it that way.
I mean,
but the
how
crowd
much-
was not
Hang
great.
on,
The
hang
crowd
on,
was not
hang on.
great.
This
Zaz.
is the second straight time Colin has reported back to me that he thought the crowd was disgraceful. Zaz.
Well,
second straight time.
Well, the first time you went, I was there too. That was for Game 4 against Tampa.
Yes, when it
the
was
Panthers
great at
had
the
big
end.
comeback
When
in
it
the
was great
third.
at the end, but the rest of
Yeah.
that you could hear a pin drop in that arena.
The crowd was very tight the first two periods of that game for sure. But the third period, like in that moment when they took the lead, it was the loudest building I'd ever been in my life.
last part of the game. I could agree with that. But the rest of the
certainly
game was not. No.
A couple of nights ago, I mean, the defense for Carolina was amazing. They
Yeah,
kept the
especially
Panthers at
shorthanded.
bay.
Especially shorthanded.
It's
yeah.
the worst. You go to a game, you're hoping to see a trophy presentation, and not only does your team lose, but you're sitting on your hands the whole game. It sucks.
Now, Zaz, tonight it's basically a pick'em. With our good friends at Hard Rock Bet. What do you got? What do you got for me? I'm trying to sprinkle a little action here.
I don't like betting on my team. All right?
I'll bet on them for you. How about that?
I saw the Panthers were minus 110 tonight. You're not going to get Panthers minus 110 again.
Yeah,
All right,
I like
so,
those odds too.
If you want to look at it like that, where, okay, let's take advantage of something we're not going to see again, you go ahead and do that. But, it feels a little bit like last series where the Panthers had the chance to close Toronto out. They ended up going scoreless at home. And then the next game, which was Game 7 in Toronto, it just, blew them out the building. And, of course, 3 of the 4 games this series, the Panthers have blown them out. So you got to feel good about the Panthers tonight, and they're fully healthy. Mikkola, A.J. Greer, Reinhart, all back in the lineup tonight.
Right. It sounded like they were coasting. It felt like they were coasting a little bit in Game 4, seeing if they could just almost survive. Like you said, they don't have those 3 guys playing in Game 4, and all of a sudden, to Carolina's credit, played very well defensively throughout the whole game.
Yeah.
And then the second they had that empty netter to 2, people couldn't get out of there fast enough. And that was it. And
can't blame them.
You can't blame them. Not a lot to look for. Not a lot to cheer about throughout the game. Now, Zaz, tell me this. You got the game tonight, but when you're watching the Panthers, whether at home or away, what's your drink of choice?
Yeah, I mean, this is so easy. Let me tell you guys a little bit about Yuengling, all right? America's oldest brewery and a proud sponsor of your Florida Panthers. Yuengling Traditional Lager, a beer that, like true legends, stands the test of time. Bold, smooth taste. It is perfect for game day. It's brewed by the same family for nearly 200 years. A crisp lager, bold taste. Whether you're cheering from the stands or you're in your favorite bar, or maybe you're like me, you're in the Zaslow Mansion. Yuengling is the taste of tradition. Yuengling, legends stand the test of time.
Zaz, we were talking about the NBA a little bit, and especially what happened in that Pacer-Knick game yesterday. Game 4, HALIBURTON really had a perfect game. And everywhere you look, you hear a lot about the idea of being a big-time star, and I guess the thing that's attached to it. And I was trying to diagnose, I think, what the NBA went wrong. Mm-hmm. And here's what I came up with. I'm under the impression that the NBA is still sort of dealing with the fallout of only feeding you 3 players and 4 franchises. And then all of a sudden, when it's something else from the path, like the Pacers and like the Thunder, then the NBA doesn't know how to respond. And then 8 days from now, when the Pacers-Thunder Game 1 does $6 million, and we're wondering, why isn't nobody paying attention to the NBA? I think it's more because the NBA hasn't necessarily given you any of those other teams, other players. They haven't done anything to really market that. And I think that this is going to burn them when you get eventually to a Pacers-Thunder final. I don't think it has a lot to do with the players. I think HALIBURTON and the Pacers are entertaining. They've had big playoff moments time and time again. They've been almost must-see TV. I think it's more about what the NBA feeds you, and then therefore that's what the public is expecting. And when they don't get it, that's where you get hurt.
If you're not local in Oklahoma City or in Indianapolis, you're turning on the radio, ESPN, you're turning on the television.
Which is hard to find those games to begin with locally. But yes.
But the teams that they'll talk about on the shows, I mean, it's the Celtics and it's the Knicks when they're good, and it's the Lakers, and maybe you could mix in the Heat sometimes.
Stuff.
There's Warriors. There's a handful of teams, So, yeah, when you end up getting to a Thunder-Pacers final, you're going to have the casual fan who doesn't know these teams, and maybe they're not sexy. But I push back a little bit on the whole idea of, is it good for the league? Like, what's the definition of that? How does it hurt the league? If you have Thunder Pacers, and let's say, like you said, it doesn't do a good number, and what? Like, the league already has the quadrillion-dollar television contract. Nothing's happening there. Like, what is actually the fallout from a Thunder Pacer final, which apparently is not good for the league? There's no fallout. Nothing happens.
I would just say public interest, right?
Right. And capitalizing on what was a great postseason run up until that point, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that'd be my only pushback.
Yeah, I mean, look, the two teams that you get, if it is Oklahoma City and Indiana, it is going to be a really fun finals. If you're a basketball fan, you're going to be into it. You got good stars. Would it attract the casual fan? Do these players pass the mom test? You tell your mom, do you know who Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is? If she knows, that's the mom test, I don't think these players pass the mom test, all right? But I do think we're also in unprecedented times in the NBA. We're going to have our 7th consecutive unique champion, 7 straight years. It's literally never happened in the history of the NBA. This league has finally seemingly caught up to the other sports in this country. Major League Baseball, NBA, MLB, NHL, NFL, where it's more wide open. And I think we like it better like this, right? The fact, normally with the NBA, you start the season, you probably got 3 teams, maybe 4. Who could win the championship. Yeah, all those years where it was Warriors and Cavs, you knew it was going to be Warriors-Cavs. You knew it from preseason, and it's exactly what you got. I think it's better like this.
From a basketball perspective, I agree with you. Now, to that point where the NBA, I don't think the NBA as a league has adjusted to how the basketball has adjusted. The basketball has become, leaning into the parity, but the NBA is still trying to, squeeze out the last juices from the last 3 horses, and that's how they're going to do that until, the Currys and LeBrons walk away.
Yeah.
And that's where I think the mom test is not being passed because the NBA has not done a good job in marketing these stars and franchises. Because
I'm not sure how you fix that. Because you're not going to be able to tell ESPN, TNT, hey, talk about this, talk about that on your shows.
Well, more primetime games. Social media has a lot to do with it. I think it's easier than ever to get names out there. I just think you got to do a little bit more to lean into it, and I don't think they do.
Well, I think this is a good start this year where the Final 4 teams...
have to. Yes, you have to.
The Final 4 teams is all these new stars. Anthony Edwards, Gilgeous-Alexander, Halliburton, Brunson. You don't have any of the old guard stars who are still active right now. So maybe this is a good start where these guys in the Final 4, you have these new age, star players.
Now, Zez, you mentioned Anthony Edwards. Where are you at with him right now?
I'm very down on him.
Okay.
I'm very down on Anthony Edwards. After the game, and I've been down on him most of the year. I have not been a fan of this Wolves team anyway.
Right.
And just, the whole face of the league stuff, he doesn't want to be face of the league. Don't worry. You're not the face of the league.
Yep.
No one's going to call you it, so you don't have to worry about that problem. But if you're Anthony Edwards and you have that game a couple of nights, this series is going to end tonight, but you have that game a couple of nights ago, you take 13 shots, what was it, 16 or 17 points he had. I'm sorry. I don't want to hear from him after the game talk about he didn't struggle. The defense, they weren't allowing him to do certain things, so he was out there making plays for other teams. I wasn't watching John Stockton, all right? Anthony Edwards, he had 6 assists and 5 turnovers. I don't want to hear about how he was making plays for everybody. And here's a news flash. You didn't struggle if a defense is trying to take something away from you.
And they do.
And you can't find a way to do what you want to do. That's struggling.
Yeah.
You struggled then.
And Zez, you covered the Miami Heat more than anybody, partner. Remember that year with LeBron and how people were on LeBron? It was basically the same conversation. LeBron was making the right play against the Dallas Mavericks. Should we hold Anthony Edwards the same accountability?
Harden just got this. The other day when Game 7, when he was passive in every Game 7 he's ever played, Tatum gets this all the time. And then all of a sudden, Anthony Edwards, it's because he's making the right play. That's where I think it's a little hypocritical.
It's like as if the Thunder were doing something revolutionary where they weren't allowing the star player on the other team to take over the game. That's every single game. That's every single defense in the playoffs tries to not allow the star player to do star player things. And guess what? That's what being a star is. You have no chance. When you get this deep in the playoffs, conference finals, NBA finals, you have no chance, if you're the Wolves, of winning a playoff game if Anthony Edwards is not a superstar in that game. And that's why they lost.
Kyle, what's the stat? with Edwards and
Well,
30
they're 4
points.
and 1. They're 4 and 1 this postseason when he scores 30 plus, and they're 5 and 4 when he doesn't. They're 20 and 6 on the season when he does. Yeah, they're better when he scores. You are paid and played as a scorer. And
you want to talk about rotation and bench and depth?
Yeah,
star players need to be star players.
Right.
That's it.
That's the bottom line.
And we heard Finch, the head coach, get on him in the Warriors series. So he's got to be more aggressive.
Yep. Yeah, I'm down on Edwards.
Yeah, I am too. And I got into an argument with a bunch of Wolves fans because I went to school in the Midwest, so all these guys are Wolves fans. And they're trying to tell me how he's making the right play, all the role players. Nikhil Alexander-Walker's not winning the series. All right? Anthony Edwards would win this series if that's going to be the case.
Again, 6 assists, 5 turnovers.
Right.
I wasn't watching John Stockton out there.
Right. It was not -10 in the first half, only 2 field goals attempted. Can't happen. Not for a guy on a max contract.
Stockton and the mailman, Zaz.
Come on. Stockton and the mailman winning that. They're finding a way to do what they want to do against that defense. Maybe they don't win, but they're finding a way.
Zaz, let's finish off. We heard about this. Apparently, it's making its way around ESPN radio. You have a top 5 most overrated cookout foods.
Oh, yeah.
And everybody was getting all upset about it. What was the one that you caught the most flack for in terms of your top 5?
I mean, number 5 on the list, most overrated cookout foods, number 5 is chicken wings. And that's the one that was the most polarizing. But here's the thing, because some people don't use their noodle, all right? The list isn't top 5 awful foods. It's not top 5 foods that taste terrible. No, it's top 5 overrated foods. Meaning, when I show up to the cookout, I feel like most people think chicken wings are God's gift. When I show up to the cookout, chicken wings are not even near the top of the list of the food that I'm looking for first. Hence, they're overrated. No one said they're terrible. No one said they taste bad. They're just not near the top of my list of food that I want at a cookout.
Wow. How
That's
about
all there is
that?
to it.
Says I gotta say, I've never seen chicken wings at a cookout.
Well, okay, so there you go. You don't even care.
Yep. But the one I had a problem with was watermelon and corn.
No, watermelon. Come on.
Zaz.
Watermelon.
Zaz.
You
That's
get the
an outdoor
seeds.
food.
You got the
Zaz, you
seeds.
need
I'm
it.
playing
You're
lost
wrong
and
on this
found
one.
in my mouth with the seeds. I'm not into it.
Zaz, listen. You know I love you. You are wrong.
That's an outdoor. That's the outdoor food.
If I go to Auntie Vicky's Memorial Day cookout and don't see the watermelon and the corn on the cob on the grill, I got a serious issue.
Well, and here's the thing. I love corn. I don't like the cob part, all right? I'm eating the corn on the cob. I got the corn stuck in my teeth.
Yeah.
What if I want to talk to a nice-looking girl? I got the corn in my teeth.
You're married.
It's a
Zaz, you're married.
Listen, don't worry about what I'm doing on my free time. If I got corn stuck in my teeth, no one wants to look at me. It's embarrassing.
Fair enough. Now, listen, I've been called a typewriter, Zaz, with the corn on the cob. I go so fast. My family used to call me the typewriter growing up.
All right.
I've mastered the corn on the cob without getting it in your teeth. I'll have to show you one of these
I've clearly
days.
not mastered that. I look gross.
Zaz, where can people tune into you if they want to listen to more?
Zaslow Show 2.0, wherever you get your podcasts, I'm right there, everything 305. Hopefully tomorrow's episode will be celebrating the Florida Panther Eastern Conference Championship, and every episode of Zaslow Show 2.0 is presented by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. You're dealing with an injury, you were involved in an accident, they get you the compensation you deserve. Anajar and Levine, Accident Attorneys, 800-747-FREE, 800-747-3733.
Zaz, love it as always. Looking forward to talking again next week. Hopefully the Panthers can close it out tonight, all right?
Yep, enjoy it tonight, guys. We'll see you.
That's Jonathan Zaslow, of course, of the Zaslow Show 2.0. We'll loop in Christian Cat into the conversation on the flip side. Do a little 5 at 5. Stick around for it. Russo and Rizzo, ESPN 106.3.
Anajar and Levine. Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733.
ESPN 106.3.
WESP Jupiter, a Good Karma Brands radio station.
The Club at Lost Lake, a championship Fazio design golf course in Hope Sound. Golf and social memberships are now available with no waiting list and immediate access. The course and club will see over $10 million in capital improvements and is one of the best private club values in the area. Experience the beauty and challenge of this renowned course for yourself. Enjoy year-round access to exclusive amenities and events. Elevate your game, elevate your experience. Discover the Club at Lost Lake. Visit clublostlake.com to schedule a visit today.
Business owners, are your employees driving you nuts? Is money tight? Or have you just poured your heart and soul into your business and now it's time to retire and just relax? At Transworld Business Advisors, they have buyers from all over the world ready to buy your business now. Call for a confidential conversation about your business's current value. 561-203-5121. That's 561-203-5121 or visit tworld.com today.
What would you do with an extra $700? You can earn up to $700 per year with Boost Checking from Flagler Credit Union. Boost Checking pays 7.0 annual percentage yield on balances up to $10,000. That's up to $700 extra to do what you love. Boost Checking from Flagler Credit Union. Requirements apply to earn the highest dividend rates. Limit one checking account per membership. Dividend rates and annual percentage yield subject to change. Business accounts do not qualify. Insured by NCUA, proud partner of Florida Atlantic University Athletics.
Kaiser University's flagship campus, the 100-acre residential campus at 2600 North Military Trail in West Palm Beach, extends Kaiser University's educational offerings to over 100 degrees within the heart of South Florida. Kaiser University also has an athletic program with 24 national championships, including the 2024 Women's Swimming and Diving Championship and Men's Lacrosse title. Visit KUSeahawks.com for the latest.
It's the perfect day. You're just driving along, listening to your favorite music, the window's down. There's a cool breeze. Life is good. But wait, hold on a second. You're not wearing a seatbelt? You'd better put that on before that... Uh-oh, too late. Cops everywhere are stepping up enforcement, so you'd better buckle up or you will get caught. Sorry to ruin your day. Click it or ticket.
Funded by the Florida Department of Transportation.
Wake up with Unsportsmanlike. I should be in the Palm Beach County Sports Hall of Fame. I did 20 years of sports radio when there was no sports radio station in that market.
The guy that got you off of the radio station is who they actually put in the Hall of Fame. I don't know if you knew this, yeah.
Yeah, Steve, he's in the Hall. You're right about that.
He is?
Yes, he's right about that. The one who took me off the air.
He's in there.
The guy that got him off the airways in South Florida. Let's put that guy in the Hall of Fame.
That's unreal.
Unsportsmanlike with me, Evan Cohen, Chris Canty, and Michelle Smallman. Live weekdays 6 to 10 on ESPN 106.3.
Now, it's time for a little R&R.
All into the bucket, lays it up and in.
Ball game, Rizzo! Live in the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios, this is Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
This team is going to be tough when they finally get it together.
Sit back and relax. Let Russo and Rizzo take you home.
Oh, mercy! Light him up, Collins!
If you've been in a car accident, truck accident, suffered a slip and fall, my friends Mark Anajar and Glenn Levine at Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys are the type to fight for you. They don't charge you unless you win. They work tirelessly to get you the maximum compensation that you deserve. Let's call it like we see it. They're the best in the business for a reason. Don't settle for just any attorney. Demand Anajar and Levine today because that's the Anajar and Levine difference. All it takes is one phone call. Take back control of your life. Don't wait. Call for that free consultation today. That's 1-800-747-3733. 1-800-747-FREE. Take back control now with Anajar and Levine. Colin Russo, Mike Rizzo, Christian Cat. Russo and Rizzo, ESPN 106.3. If you missed any of the program today, listen back in podcast format. Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. All those great places. Christian Cat, our producer behind the glass here at the City Place. How are you, Christian? What do you got for us?
Spectacular. Played golf in the morning.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
How did we play?
I played pretty bad, but I scored good, which is a nice feeling, knowing that the standard is dropping in a good way. The scores are dropping when I have my off game. Still broke 100. This guy was smoking 3 different things in the entirety of our round. We blazed through, pun intended, 2 hours and 15 minutes of 18 holes. He smoked cigs, he smoked weed, and he also had a vape.
Oh, my God.
He broke them all out with a 7:15 a.m. tee time.
Oh, my God.
Did you ask him about it?
Did the trifecta.
He also had a industrial fan that was powered by a power drill battery hanging over the front of the golf cart, so it was blowing the smoke away from me. I didn't ask him about a smoking habit, either of the 3.
Did he offer?
No, he did not offer. He also cracked open a cold one at around 8:15 a.m., this guy was battling through some demons, and they did not get admonished on the golf course because he played like crap.
So, may I ask if he's retired?
No. This guy probably is
Our age?
in his late 30s.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, he's going through it, man.
Yeah, he was giving me the whole car wash of excuses as to why he wasn't playing well. It's like, dude, you don't got to prove anything to me.
You're not.
What does he do for a living?
Hang on. Hold on. Christian, he's not playing well because he's got the biggest nicotine buzz ever after smoking cigarette and vape, and he's high.
Yeah.
So
did he tell you what he does for a living?
You're not playing well. Colin, he's not playing well.
Do you know what he does for a living before you answer?
No.
You didn't ask him? You
No.
played 18 holes with this guy? You don't ask him what he does for a living?
He wasn't very approachable.
Yeah, I mean,
wasn't a kind man.
It's kind of what happens.
Did you share a golf cart?
Yes.
Colin,
hold on. You shared a golf cart with somebody? You didn't even get to what he does for a living?
No.
Colin.
Did he ask you?
No. Kept it about the golf.
For 18 holes? You played for 2 hours and 30 minutes.
Colin, the guy was smoking everything under the sun and was high as a kite.
It doesn't matter. You can ask, what are you doing? What are you doing after this? Like, what are you doing for work?
I did ask. I kind of alluded to it. I was like, so, off day today or playing before work? And he goes, got a couple of days off.
Yeah.
That's all I got out of him.
Tell. As he goes,
this guy just get out of jail? I don't know.
It was immediately after he audibly cracked open the beer. So maybe it came off as judgmental. Like, wow, you're going to drink before work? And I asked him, I gave him the benefit of the doubt. So maybe I shut that door unknowingly.
You got to start we got to give you like a question list, and you got to get through all 20 of them every round.
Every time I play a weekday round and I come out on these airwaves.
We got to come up with 20 questions that you have to ask. This is one question a hole. This is not a crazy ask. One question a hole every 10 minutes.
I'm with you here. Gets in the cart, starts smoking everything under the sun. Yeah, dude, I'm probably not talking to you the whole round. And then he gets in his car and drives high home.
I don't understand how you could sit there with the guy for 3 hours and not talk to him one time about anything.
You know, we kept it about the golf.
Yeah,
we talked about the course. We talked about other courses in the area.
There's not enough to say about the course. There's not enough.
And once
the course.
again, Cal, maybe people don't want to talk to you. You know, maybe.
But you got to at least try.
I made friends.
Did you get his name?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Don't say his name.
If you didn't get the name, that would be problematic.
Now, Colin, you talk too much to people to a fault sometimes.
Fine,
but
fair.
I understand where you're coming. I understand.
At least what you do where you're from wouldn't hurt.
You got on, Colin. I forget. He told me some story, and of course I forget it. He was getting on some fan about losing. You were. He told me a story on how he was getting on. Oh yeah, it was a Duke fan. You were telling him how terrible the team was, and the guy wanted to strangle you by the end.
Yeah, this was it was one of those connection where people go and they just connect with a bunch of people with the BDB. And I was sitting next to a kid who was a Duke grad, and this is right after they blew the game.
Day after.
Yeah, this is right where they blow the game to Houston, and it was right after they blew the game, and this was like the. It was right. It was maybe after it was the day before the national championship game.
The wound was open.
So I asked him, I'm like, how do you feel about Shire? So we introduced ourselves, whatever. And it's this kid. He was probably 27, 28. So he's a young guy, and he's a Duke grad. So I'm like, do you go to a game a year? He went to a game this year. And I'm like, you got to be pissed off with Shire, right? And he's like, no, I like Shire. I'm like, what do you like about him? And
grilling him.
He's starting to get a little annoyed.
Like, listen, he's on a sports talk radio host. He doesn't have to go toe-to-toe with you about basketball.
We're at a big circle. It's like a big ballroom, and we're at one of these circle tables. And it's me. The funny part is there's probably, 10 seats. 4 of them were filled. So it was him, and I sat right next to him.
And he just kept going on and on and on about
like, you got to be
losing.
pissed off. I'm like, you got to be pissed off. I'm like, also, Wisconsin, too. You guys never should. Were you at the Wisconsin year? And he was in school when they played Wisconsin in the 2015 national championship. And I was grilling him about that game, too. I'm like, Justice Winslow touched it, right, in overtime? And he was getting all annoyed about that. By the end of it, yes, you're right. I probably overstepped my boundaries there.
Forgive me for thinking that was the only time he's ever done that as well, Christian.
So, exactly. This is coming from the social butterfly, the chatty Cathy that is Colin.
It's not about that. I want a couple questions out of you. I want 10. We'll start with 10 around, and we're going to move up to 20.
Here's how I am.
Because you're not being a pest by asking 20 questions over a 2.5-hour period.
Hey, I didn't care. And if he didn't care about mine, I was under any obligation to ask him about his life. He's not going to ask me about mine.
But what if he's like the most interesting person in the world? Or better yet, what if he is somebody with connections that could help you get somewhere at some point in life?
As he's smoking cigarette, vaping, smoking dope, and drinking a beer at 7:30 in the morning.
He's like, yeah, my dad runs the Sixers. It's like, really?
I will say, point in Colin's favor, I got paired up with a single about a year ago today in Lake Worth playing golf, and this guy was in town for business, and he said he's from Iowa. I was like, oh, what brings you down here? And he's wearing a Trump International polo. So I was like, okay, that's a pretty exclusive place to play. He said he works in Secret Service.
Nice.
So, that guy's got stories. If he had that polo and he works in Secret Service...
Did he give you anything?
No, he said he couldn't. He was actually kind of guarded about it.
Yeah, that means he's currently in service, too. He's not former service.
Yeah, like
now, can you imagine Colin in the cart with this individual?
This has happened before. I was working out at a place
how many Diet Cokes do you drink? Is that really
West
that many?
Palm Beach. At West Palm Beach. This was like 2 weeks after I moved in. I was at a gym, and this is when RFK, Robert F. Kennedy, was still running for president. And he walks into the gym. They set up snipers on the roof across the street, and RFK comes in. Did I never tell you this story? With jeans, boots, and a short sleeve blue T-shirt, and he starts doing the shrug machine, and he did about 11 sets of it, and there was 5 guys. I walked in. I was like half asleep. It was a Sunday morning, and I was getting patted down by a bunch of guys in Hawaiian shirts and earpieces. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? And then I go up to the guy in the corner, and I'm like, hey, is it cool if I say, what's up? Is it cool if I say hello? Clearing it with the Secret Service guy. And I'm like, why you got me? And then he's like, yeah, no problem. He's like, just make sure you don't like interrupt the set and you're good to go. I'm like, great. I'm like, why are you guys in Hawaiian shirts? And he goes, it's really hot, number one. Number two, Robert lets us kind of like wear
dress
loose.
down.
Yeah, dress down a little bit.
Wow.
And I thought that was interesting. I'm like,
They
oh,
were
really?
all
and I was like, they could do that? Like, you guys could, if you could wear like a T-shirt if you wanted to? And he's like, I guess you technically
I'm assuming dark black shades and then just
a Hawaiian T-shirt. It was a Hawaiian T-shirt.
Dark black shades.
He's a bigger
Hawaiian
guy.
T-shirt.
And then I did that with him, and then I shook RFK's hand. I didn't get a picture. I screwed that up. But there was like nobody else in the gym. There was like me and RFK. And I shook his hand. I said, hello. I don't have an opinion on RFK. And I'm like,
and book him?
I wanted to. I don't think he's got the voice for radio. But I was so fascinated. I'm like, you got a lot of security. This is a lot of security for a Sunday morning. Like there was 2 snipers on the roof. There was probably 4 or 5 cars, and this was like a hole in the wall gym.
Do you want to know why though? Like,
wait. So you said that to him? You have a lot of security?
No, I didn't say that. I was thinking this.
I thought
that would have been. That would have been.
You were a sucker punch.
But then I'm like, hold on, a Kennedy? Like,
yeah, that too. And also, I'm assuming this was a couple of weeks after President Trump got shot at. Right?
This is about 3.5 weeks
after.
after.
I'm assuming,
it was late August.
That had a lot to do with it.
Trump got shot
right.
in what, late July?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I guess that has something to do. And also, the Kennedys, he's probably,
Yep.
The Robert Kennedy Sr. and then John, like.
No need, we all know.
Yeah. So he needs protect. I get that. And I was thinking about that in the moment. I'm like, that makes sense.
So this guy that I played golf with today, because I never asked him what he did for work, I might have blown an opportunity.
Yes.
Guys.
Yeah,
listen,
it's a due diligence. You never know who you could play golf with, and you never, because you'd kill to play golf with like some powerful figure in sports, because that'd be fun, right? You learn a lot.
Christian, he doesn't have a lot going on. If he's smoking dope, cigarette, vape, and drinking beer at 7:30,
all you got to do is ask.
And I will say, like in Palm Beach County, the places I can afford it in this direct vicinity, like in this 5-mile radius of West Palm Beach, the courses I can afford, they're pretty cheap.
This is excusatory. All you got to do is ask.
So, Kyle, what do you think this cat did?
We never know. That's the problem. We don't know.
What I'm saying is, I don't.
That's the problem.
It's not going to knock your boots off. Let me save you the anticipation.
We got to jump around a bit. Let's do a little 5 and 5 presented by Flagler Credit Union.
5 topics.
High five.
5 o'clock.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere. Let's get out of here.
Endless takes.
You can't handle the truth.
All gas, no brakes.
And it's shaking big time.
It's time for the 5 at 5.
Hold on to your butts.
Presented by Flagler Credit Union, proud supporter of FAU athletics. Earn up to $700 per year with boost checking from Flagler Credit Union. Number 1.
SEC leadership. Listen, let's be real. We're talking about football. They are meeting this week with the general attitude that the conference is going to war with the NCAA. These are the types of conversations that are being had with the fluidity of the college football playoff. Simply put, the SEC wants more guaranteed bids in the college football playoff. People talking about how it's more important to not lose than to play good opponents. And a specific quote came from Greg Sankey, courtesy of Ross Dellinger. Sankey, the commissioner of the SEC, said, "I've got people in my room asking, why are we still in the NCAA? Does the SEC need NCAA more, or does the NCAA need the SEC more right now?"
I lean in the power of the NCAA, actually. I really do. I think the SEC has some sort of falsified reality that they completely run college sports. They have the most money, yes, but part of the NCAA's greatness is the amount of schools. Like, there's 100 conferences. It's not just the SEC and everybody else, on football and on basketball. It's not. So because of that, I lean on the side of the NCAA, and I don't think this is ever going to happen. I keep saying this, and I know everybody wants to float it. I think this is just a leverage thing, trying to showcase power. Well, I do think the NCAA
What about the TV contracts? You're the one who's in the know on that kind of stuff. Does the NCAA have power in that?
It would be different because I think they could have power in terms of who schedules what. I don't know the specifics in terms of if they were ever to seed, but the contracts are with the conferences.
Okay, so Christian, let me ask you this, partner.
Please.
What league would you watch? The league that consists of the SEC and the Big Ten, or the league that consists of the rest of college football?
Well, if the SEC were to join forces with the Big Ten, which they have flirted about mega conferences, I would rather watch that.
Okay,
I would pass by everything else in college sports if you could guarantee me just the SEC and Big Ten.
My answer is complex, but it's simple. If the SEC can get the Big Ten, then yes, the NCAA needs the SEC more. As long as the Big Ten's still around with Ohio State, Michigan, Oregon, I'm even going to throw USC in there because I think Lincoln Riley is actually going to turn that program around with the transfer portal and how well they've been recruiting the last couple of years. Neither here nor there. The SEC would need the Big Ten if they went their separate ways because those are the two best teams in college sports. Nobody would watch the Big 12 and the ACC and the rest of the gang. The two conferences that matter are the SEC and the Big Ten. And as far as wanting more teams, Colin, in the college football playoff, tell Ole Miss not to lose the final game of the year. Tell these SEC teams to actually show up to their bowl game and not get pantsed by teams. I understand that it's the best league top to bottom. But when you face off against other conferences and lose consistently in the postseason, I mean, what do you want to do? We had this conversation at the time. Alabama lost to Michigan. Listen, I understand the Buckeyes lost to Michigan, but at the same time, man, come on.
Well, yeah.
There's a 5-loss Michigan team.
They scored 6 points or 3 points. Alabama did against Oklahoma at home.
Bad. They weren't good teams last year. That's what, there were two good teams in the SEC, and they made it last year.
So what side are you on
Georgia.
here? What side are you on? We want to watch the SEC or the SEC stinks?
I guess I'm just dying for college football and an argument and to scream at somebody about college football because the NCAA needs the SEC. The NCAA needs, and the big point I'm trying to make is the SEC and the Big Ten are the two guys running the show right now, not the NCAA. Sorry about that.
Number 2.
Stefon Diggs was living it up the past couple of days. Leaving South Florida on a boat with a bunch of women with Cardi B, allegedly having a entertainment enhancer in hand. And, of course, the video's on TikTok. It's on Instagram. It's everywhere where Stefon Diggs was talking to a bunch of ladies. Problem is, he didn't show up for work today. And yes, it was optional OTAs, but Stefon Diggs joined the New England Patriots. The New England Patriots hired Mike Vrabel in the offseason, and Mike Vrabel didn't appear to be happy that Stefon Diggs was not present for OTAs the day after the video surfaced of him living it up on a boat.
Well, it's something that we're aware of, and obviously we want to make great decisions on and off the field. And we're hoping that with our time here on the field today, and that when we don't have a script and we're on the call-up periods, that we're making great decisions. And so the message will be the same for all our players, that we're trying to make great decisions, and any conversations that I've had with Stefon will remain between him and I and the club.
Can't be very happy about this. If you're a Patriots fan, how do you absorb the last 2 days with the Stefon Diggs situation?
Can you really? Are you reaching for things to be upset about? If you're upset that Stefon Diggs is on a boat, hanging out, with a bunch of people partying, is the time of the year a little bit bad? Yes, but can you get that upset about it? Optional OTAs. Would you rather him be in New England? Probably. But this is a guy on the tail end of his career. I can't necessarily get too far. He's not in season. This is off season. I can't get too hard into that. As long as he's staying healthy, not going to get arrested, then I think I'm okay with it.
This video is really funny. I'm watching it for the first time, Christian.
Yeah.
I have no problem with Diggs doing this. Now, Vrabel, listen, you had to understand that something like this was going to happen when you bring Stephon Diggs in, right? Do we all agree with that? I mean, it's optional for a reason. I'm a Mike Vrabel guy, as you guys know. I don't know. I think you know what you signed up for. And to sit here and to kind of be frustrated about it in the press conference is a little shocking. But what is in his hand? I got to ask. I'm not on the end.
He's got a powdered substance coming out of a thing. So people are making their assumptions to what the powdered substance could be that is giving to a young lady who calls him daddy in order to obtain it. And then he said, no, Big Daddy. So then she calls him Big Daddy, and then she gets the powdered substance.
Kyle, I am so out of the loop on what is in and what is not in. Big Daddy.
Oh.
Number 3.
I thought you were like out of the loop on cocaine.
Is that coke? I mean, it was
I don't think it's coke.
We don't know.
Purple and blue. The substance in the bag was purple and blue.
It could be anything.
Now, you're
for all we
talking to
know.
a recovering addict on a lot of fronts. I've never seen anything like that in my life.
Okay. From one wide receiver to another, because Tyreek Hill showed up on famous streamer's video, Aiden Ross, when a kid had a question for him about the second overall pick in this year's NFL draft, who you might know by the name of Travis Hunter. Listen to what Tyreek Hill had to say.
Yo, Tyreek, what do you think about Travis Hunter?
They gonna be ass.
Yeah, I'll paraphrase it, and I'll take away 2 words. He gonna be ass, is what Tyreek Hill has to say about Travis Hunter. What does this do to Tyreek Hill's image?
Can it get any worse?
Dude, I'm
Can it
with
get any
Colin.
worse?
Like, what do you think he was going to say? I'm not shocked at all.
Wait, really? I thought he wasn't going to say something that out of pocket unnecessarily. The kid didn't play a snap yet, and he won the Heisman last year. How can you say that?
I think receivers and corners alike, if it works for him, are quite intimidated by his ability to potentially play both ways. And I think that's an ego shot because it's 2 very egotistical positions, and all of a sudden some of them can't stay in the limelight in their one position. And if he can somehow be good or very good in both of them, I think people are intimidated by that level of stardom, to be honest with you. And somebody who kind of carries himself the right way. If every wide receiver in the world is going to be quite annoyed if Travis Hunter is, a great receiver, and on top of that, a great corner.
And my question is, what's the longevity of a great wide receiver anymore? Like, Randy Moss did it for numerous years. Calvin Johnson retired after, 7 seasons, 8 seasons? Like, look at, if you go by receiving yards last year, Jamar Chase, in his 3rd year? Brian Thomas Jr., rookie last year? Like, JJ has consistently been doing it for a long time.
That's 5 years, 4 or 5 years.
I'm with Colin in the sense of it's new blood. And Tyreek Hill, listen, for all intents and purposes, was a nobody last year. He didn't play a lot. When he played, he was making scenes on the sideline and was more of a distraction than not. I'm not surprised to see Tyreek Hill do this stuff, and I think, to Colin's point, it's probably an ego thing.
Number 5.
Skip right to it because Rick Carlisle was talking about his team, about the stars that are on his team post-game after the Pacers took a 3-1 series lead over the Knicks, and this is what he had to say.
This is a team game. It's not about the numbers. It's about being ready. And a lot of times defining plays in the playoffs have nothing to do with statistical things. They're loose ball plays. They're charges taken, stuff like that. Celebrate that. Talk about that. Those are the kinds of things that are truly important.
Do we care about stats too much when it comes to basketball?
Maybe. Probably. Because isn't the whole goal to win? I feel like winning is sort of taking a back seat to statistical dominance. Probably. To be honest with you. Thinking about that, yeah.
We're trying to quantify and rationalize and rank the best we can. And that's the most concrete example we can find because the eye test, you can't put a number on it. You can't truly rank that. And I guess the only thing else you can do is rings. So it's rings and stats. And maybe we put too much stock in the numbers.
Probably. But Indiana has been the best team this playoffs. We could agree, right?
Yeah.
Probably the Thunder.
Them or the Thunder. Consistently, Thunder have played better teams.
Yeah.
Thunder have played better teams, but yes.
Well,
Denver is better than any team that the Indiana's
Agreed.
dealt with.
I'll agree with that, and that went 7 games. But as far as dominance, I think Indiana's been the best team all postseason long, and maybe Rick Carlisle's onto something with that.
It's a 5-5.
5-5 Flagler Credit Union. We got Steve Politzino, the Good Karma Brand's president, coming up after this. It's Russo and Rizzo, ESPN 106.3.
Live from the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. This is ESPN 106.3.
ESPN 106.3 is your home for live sports presented by Hard Rock Bet. Home of the Miami Heat, now the new home of Inter Miami. Catch all the games and the biggest matchups throughout the week right here on ESPN 106.3. Hard Rock Bet, it's Florida's official sports book. Try Hard Rock Bet now and receive up to $100 back in bonus bets if your first bet does not win. Hard Rock Bet, roll with us. It's offered by the Seminole Tribe of Florida. Must be 21 plus and physically present in Florida the wager. Terms and conditions apply. Concerned about gambling? Call 1-888-ADMIT-IT.
Tired of being sidelined by a sports injury? Get back in the game with Baptist Health Orthopedic Care. Whether you're a professional athlete or even a weekend warrior, you can get back to doing what you love with our compassionate orthopedic team. Experience a new level of care and get back to your best. Welcome to being treated like a pro. Make an appointment today at baptisthealth.net/ortho or call 833-556-6764.
Get ready to elevate your driving experience with the all-new 2025 Range Rover Velar P250 Dynamic SE. A stunning blend of luxury performance and technology that will make every drive unforgettable. Right now, you can lease the new Velar for just $809 per month for 36 months. Yes, only $809 a month for a luxury SUV that sets new standards on the road. Visit Land Rover Palm Beach today and take advantage of this
Florida civil trial law firm that specializes in the areas of personal injury and wrongful death. Our offices are located in Palm Beach Gardens, Boca Raton, and Port St. Lucie. Our lawyers have litigated thousands of matters at the Palm Beach, Martin, St. Lucie, and Indian River County courthouses. Our lawyers, paralegals, and other numerous members of our legal team live in Palm Beach County and Treasure Coast cities and towns such as West Palm Beach, Port St. Lucie, Lake Worth, Palm Beach Gardens, Palm City, Jupiter, and others just like you and your families. We are a statewide recognized law firm, but it is your community and your families that we live and associate with on a daily basis. Our most satisfying achievement is when we know that our legal power has helped a fellow member of our Palm Beach County and Treasure Coast community secure a fair and just huge result. If you've been injured, the lawyers at Smithball, Baez, and Prather will help. Call us at 500-HELP, 500-HELP. With Smithball, Baez, and Prather, help is just a local phone call away. Offices Palm Beach Gardens, Boca Raton, and Port St. Lucie.
Let's get back to the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. This is Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
Well, you got a closeout situation on the hockey side with the Panthers taking on the Hurricanes back in Carolina tonight in Game 5. And you also have another closeout opportunity with the Thunder up 3-1 in their building against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Because of that, you could go sprinkle a little action with Hard Rock Bet. Go download the app today in the Google Play Store, the Apple App Store. Go to hardrock.bet online. Hard Rock's the best because there's a big spectrum of players in terms of sports books, and they cater to all of them. The brand new player doesn't necessarily know how to navigate interface on a sports book. Well, Hard Rock is sort of catered to them. But also to the flip side, the people that are really experienced and want a lot out of their sports book, like Battle of the Bets, for example, or promos or profit boosts, they also can do that as well. You can put together intricate, large parlays or even tag along what other users build on the Discover page. Best part is you get $100 back in bonus bets if your first bet does not hit, which can be a parlay, a prop, the over, you name it, they got it. It's Hard Rock Bet offered by the Seminole Tribe of Florida. Must be 21 plus and physically present in Florida the wager. Terms and conditions apply. Considered by gambling. Call 1-888-ADMIT-IT. Mike Rizzo, Colin Russo, Christian Cat. Welcome in. Good friend of program. He's the Good Karma Brand's president. He's a Palm Beach Sports Commission Hall of Famer. He is our leader, Mr. Steve Politziner, who is freshly 50 years old after his 50th birthday over the weekend. Hi, Steve. Welcome in. How are you?
Uncle Steve, what's up?
Gentlemen, good to be with you guys. How are you?
Good. So you had a big weekend because what happened was last Friday, we had Steve come in, and Craig Karmazin, who's the CEO of our company, who usually works out of Milwaukee, was in West Palm to do a couple things with the actual office, and we were here to celebrate Steve's birthday. We surprised Steve on the program, and we allowed him, because I guess back in the old days, Steve and Craig, when they were building this company from the ground up, they did a show called The Steve and Craig Show. And apparently, there have been better things on the radio, so to speak. And so they did a little bit. Right? They did a little bit of a rerun with Christian Cat as the producer. Steve, why don't you give us a little on these airwaves? So what was that, 11 to 1 you guys did it? 2 hours?
Yeah, it was great. Throwback Steve and Craig show. Once manned the seats that you're manning now. Now, not those fancy studio seats. I mean, we were, in a much more modest setup because, someone had to build it. For you guys to have the videos and YouTube and you have now. But yeah, the original Steve and Craig show handled some portion of afternoon drive on the original ESPN 760 back in 2003. And I think that show ended as a daily in 2009 and obviously seeded to much better talent, Evan Cohen and, so many others. But it was fun to be back in the chair. It was a total surprise. I found out 2 minutes before we were going on the air. But I do always say, I kind of feel like I prep every day just in case I get the tap. I get the tap from the bullpen that I'm needed. And it was great to relive it.
So you weren't nervous coming all? You didn't necessarily have to shake off any of the rust because you're always in preparation for a 2-hour radio show?
No, I mean, you got rust. Rust, that would intimate that that I had something in the first place. I didn't have a 95-mile-an-hour fastball. I had I was hitting 82-mile-an-hour junk. So it wasn't that such a high standard that I set in the first place, believe me.
Steve, you did the show for 6 years. You got to have a favorite moment, though, right?
Well, I did the show for 10 years because those were just the years in West Palm.
Apologies, but 10 years.
Thank you.
So,
and then I did another 5 years of all of our specialty shows. You guys, for two guys who call each other history buffs, you literally couldn't know less about the history of ESPN West Palm or anything about the West Palm market. But aside from that, so go ahead with your question.
I was just going to ask, what was your favorite moment of being an on-air radio show host?
Like ever?
Do you have a singular moment? Because I was talking to Tommy Olson, the GM over in Cleveland, when they were nice enough to let me use the studios. He told me the Barry Alvarez story, how Barry would call into your show with Craig, and I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, I mean, that was a big moment. That was a breakthrough moment when then the coach of the University of Wisconsin, who was like the biggest thing in Madison, we were starting out there, called in and ultimately berated us, which led to a fascinating, a fantastic relationship, which connects all of the events, multiple, broadcasts from multiple Rose Bowls, probably, hit 10 bowl games, over the years in that role, all the stuff, just going to all the stuff, all the laughs, same thing you guys are doing right now.
Steve, do you have
all the memories, all the battles, all the arguments?
Do you have a terrible interview that you remember? One that you botched?
Well, I mean, there's a great yes, I had. Oh, yeah. Okay. So my all-time botched interview story is when I was a broadcaster in the early days of ESPN West Palm, the Sports Commission had a relationship with Hank Aaron, who we know, had lived in West Palm.
They gave you Hank Aaron?
And he was going to do one interview, not call a final interview, but one interview, and they asked if I would do it, and which was great, and they wanted to keep it for the archives, all of that. So Hank Aaron and I are sitting at a place that is no longer. It then was the President Country Club, and it's West Palm, and we are sitting on a golf cart together, he and I in a golf cart. I had the old recorder, like the old tape recorder, Marantz unit. I hit play and record. I have the microphone. I do about 25 minutes with Hank Aaron. Like one of these, like this is going to be something that I'll have forever. Who knows who will use this? At the very end, the last minute, I look down to hit stop. I never hit record.
You got to be kidding me.
God.
You got to be kidding me.
Steve, I did that during a playoff interviews in a Cavs locker room before as well. It's no worse feeling.
Did you tell Hank?
No, I was going to say, Hank, you have another 30 for me right now? Can we do this all over?
What? So how'd you backtrack that though, Steve? Like how did you just straight up honesty is the best?
I just thanked him for his time and walked away and said, this is going to be a good story to tell. So,
well, when the people come to you and they say, Steve, I can't wait to hear this interview between you and Hank Aaron, what the hell did you tell
them? We just kind of like swept it under the rug. No one really ever asked
like it
for
never
the audio.
happened.
But you said they wanted to keep it. See, the only reason I'm pressing on it is because they said they wanted to keep it for the archives. What did we do with that?
Yeah. I don't think it was getting sent to the Radio Hall of Fame. So,
fair enough.
No one's looking for it.
Was it a good interview nonetheless?
I believe it was. I think Hank opened up about things he's never talked about before. No, I didn't ask him anything that probably hasn't already been asked before in his life, but it was definitely one of the most famous people I ever interviewed, and I have nothing to show for it.
Wow, interesting. That's a cool little story, Steve. You blew it, but that was great. That's a great opportunity to get Hank Aaron, who's got so much history here in this West Palm area.
Yep. Oh, yeah. I mean, you think about spring training for all of those years here with the Braves. There's so many fans. If you ask people from South Florida who their favorite team is, if they moved from the Northeast, obviously decent chance. It's going to be Northeast team, probably the Yankees. Also, the Yankees, remember, had spring training in Fort Lauderdale for decades. But in West Palm, it were the Braves for two reasons. Most people assume it's the Superstation TBS, which carried the whole, Southeast. So if you were from the Southeast, that would be well before the Marlins, well before the Rays. This was the closest, the Braves were the closest thing you had to a team. But it was also that spring training was here for so long on Palm Beach Lakes Boulevard. And I came just after, a few years after it had been torn down and moved to Roger Dean Stadium was built, but that was like the thing to do. You go to the stadium on Palm Beach Lakes Boulevard, which is now where, effectively the plot of land where Home Depot is. And that was the thing to do way back in the day.
Wow. All right, Steve Politzino, the Good Karma Brand's president, joining us now on Russo and Rizzo. Steve, your 50th birthday over the weekend. You spent it, an AAU tournament with your kids?
Yes. Yeah. AAU basketball in Orlando. I think, 200-300 teams. And watching those giant mega courts, those convention centers where there's 15, 30, 20 games going at the same time. I don't know how the kids can discern the whistle. It's not on their court, it's the court over. It's actually pretty amazing. And that's what you do. I'm at that age. I'm at that parent age.
You love that though, Steve. You love coaching. You love being a part of the game. I feel like you were right in your zone, right?
It was perfect. Yep, it was perfect. Wish we got a little further in the tournament, but it was still a good time.
I was going to wonder, did you guys play well in the games? Did you play anybody?
I'm not the coach.
Okay. Oh, wow. So it's the coach's problem. So the coach screwed up here.
No, I'm just saying. I didn't I don't live and breathe it the way rec basketball, what you guys do. People are asking if you guys are going to be back.
People are asking? People are rumbling?
Yeah, to coach next year. Yeah.
We'll be back, I assume.
We Uncle Steve.
We'll have to draft a team.
If it's
Colin
okay.
has to survive 8 triathlons and Ironmans.
Yeah,
so
that too.
He makes it to the other side.
Now, Steve, did you hear about the bike? I wasn't here.
Yeah,
I don't know if
okay,
you told him about the bike.
Yes, he told me the whole story about the bike, and he prefaced the 11-minute story by saying to me, "Do you have a minute? It's a long story, but I'm going to tell it to you real quick."
And it was
11 and a half
15
minutes later,
yeah.
I got the short version of the story. Colin, is that right?
Yeah, about it. On the air is a 20-minute story, so I'm dialing it in as much as I possibly can over the past couple of weeks.
I lived it. Colin is a good storyteller, so I feel like I lived the bike experience with him.
Yeah, it was a mess. It was a mess. Steve, your favorite team, the Knicks, down 3-1 in the series last night. Let me ask you this. Thibodeau, are you in, out on Thibodeau? I think they've done a bad job here. Pacers have actually done a great job on the flip side. What's your perspective in that series?
Two things to me about the series. First off, when they lost game one, I don't think it was actually as it was crushing mentally. You just can't get down to that level. You just can't get in a hole like that and come back and win. I don't think it's because they were so mentally crushed. Just Indiana's that good. They had them that game. Even if they get out of New York 1-1 and Indiana steals game 2 and the Knicks steal game 3, it's 2-2 coming back. And so it's just too much to overcome. My second part is, and we've talked about this, and anyone who follows the NBA knows this, Tibbs burns these guys out, and then guys have to get minutes in situations that they're not used to playing. And now you're looking at and now in the Eastern Conference Finals, there's a whole new rotation going. I don't get that. And I happen to be in New York today. I'm at our sister station, ESPN New York, and they're already talking about if the Knicks don't go, who's to blame? Tibbs, Cat, Josh Hart, other guys not stepping up. I know Tibbs coaches to win the day, but when you haven't been able to get to that other side of the promised line, I just think guys have to have a little bit more repetition than, Wright coming off the bench after not playing for 15 games of any meaningful minutes.
Yeah, I mean, I can't blame. They want to blame Cat. I can't blame Cat. Cat played a pretty good game yesterday. I can't necessarily knock him. It's Tibbs.
He just makes dopey fouls.
Yeah, he does.
Does offensive fouls with his hands, and he's using his fingers and his hands to hold people. You're too big. Do you realize that you're 7 feet and everyone can see what you're doing?
Yeah.
He's too big to make those little dopey, immature choices.
And the thing about it too is offensively he's so good, and he is outplaying. He goes right at Miles Turner, and when he is on, he is on. He's just, you're right, it's the fouls, and then it's a mess. But Steve, tell us really quickly what's going on with Duffy's.
What isn't? That's usually my stall move, but I don't need to today because we know Duffy's is once again voted the best sports grill in 2024. We'll see what happens in 25. I'm handicapping that it's going to be Duffy's again, and that's for the award-winning burgers and wings. Right now, you can get that half-pound certified Angus beef for the original cheeseburger and fries for just $8.99 with the purchase of a beverage, 2-for-1 famous drinks, and the 80 TVs. Visit Duffy'sMVP.com to learn more about Burger Blitz, because at Duffy's, our game is always on.
Appreciate it as always, Steve. Hope you had a wonderful weekend celebrating the 50th birthday. Looking forward to talking again next week, all right?
Thanks, Steve.
Same here, guys. Good to see you guys.
All righty. Steve Politzino, the Good Karma Brands president, the Palm Beach Sports Commission Hall of Famer. We'll close out the program on the flip side. Stick around for it. It's Russo Rizzo, ESPN 106.3.
Want to accelerate your career as a manager or executive in the exciting industry of sports? Florida Atlantic University's MBA in Sport Management program is ranked #1 in Florida and 10th in the world. Students learn practical and applied skills from top faculty and experts who work in the industry. With a 94% placement rate for all grads, the full-time MBA program sets students up for success in the world of sports. Check out Florida Atlantic University's MBA in Sport Management program today by going to business.fau.edu.
ESPN West Palm is highlighting the best performance of the week, presented by Baptist Health Orthopedic Care. Every week, a different team will be featured across ESPN 106.3 and ESPN West Palm Play. The winning performance receives $500, courtesy of Baptist Health Orthopedic Care. Do you know a team, player, or school with a killer performance? Nominate them by emailing highschool@espnwestpalm.com. Baptist Health Orthopedic Care. Go where the pros go.
What's the Anajar Levine difference? When you're injured in a car crash, we focus on your case so you can focus on the one thing that matters most, getting better. I'm Glenn Levine with Anajar Levine. We'll fight to get you the maximum compensation you deserve. Call our legal team right now for a free consultation, 1-800-747-FREE. We'll help you take back control of your life. Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733. In office, West Palm Beach.
Wing Wednesday, brought to you by Hurricane Grill and Wings. 30 bold flavors, ice-cold beer, handcrafted cocktails. Your home for sports is Hurricane Grill and Wings. Find your spot at hurricanewings.com.
I want to learn how to cook, but I keep ordering takeout.
Accomplishing goals is hard, but when your goal is to learn a new language, Babbel makes it easy.
In just 15 minutes a day, Babbel will help you start having conversations in as little as 3 weeks. Words and phrases you'll actually use. So when someone asks, "How's your French going?" you can say,
Babbel fait vraiment l'apprentissage d'une nouvelle langue.
Now save up to 50% on your Babbel subscription at Babbel.com. That's BABBEL.com.
Progressive knows when you're in your RV, you're already on vacation. That's when you become Vacation You, who just camped where there's absolutely no shade. Even though regular you burns easily. In fact, Vacation You burns too, but is too stubborn to admit it, which is why regular you gets in trouble at the dermatologist, because Vacation You doesn't do doctors. So bundle your RV with your home or auto policy and earn an automatic discount from Progressive. And spend the savings on the both of you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
I'm only human, y'all. I'm only human, y'all. I'm only human.
Let's get back to the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. This is Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
Listen up. Availability of the pre-tariffs parts and systems for the AC units locally here in the Palm Beach County area. They're starting to go off the shelves because with the tariff pricing, the air conditioning, I guess the market is expecting some major price increases throughout the year. And because of that, all of a sudden people are running to the stores to make sure that their units are up to date with the pre-tariff pricing. Well, John C. Cassidy Air Conditioning and Plumbing, they still have availability with the summer months now here. They've been proudly serving Palm Beach County since 1960. They've been keeping homes cool and comfortable. You can get their technicians to your home, making sure that your home system is up to date. There's no faults, the whole thing. Because 90% of all systems that break down could have been prevented had they been regularly checked, regularly scheduled diagnostic checks. And the fact that people don't do it is the reason that these things break down. And in a South Florida summer, when it's going to be 90, sticky, and humid, you don't want your AC unit falling apart. Visit John C. Cassidy online at CassidyAC.com for more information and to get your system checked, because we know that John C. Cassidy, they're the local option and the locally serviced, locally provided, and they care about their customers right here in Palm Beach County. That's John C. Cassidy, Air Conditioning and Plumbing. Colin Russo, Mike Rizzo, Christian Cat. Russo and Rizzo, ESPN 106.3. Christian is 0 for 8. We're not going to make a pick today, I don't think, but
can if you want to. Do you have a pick?
No. Well, the
real
question is, do you have a pick?
Yeah, it is irresponsible if we don't go streaking with Hard Rock Bet because I have the hot hand in a bad way. I have the freezing cold hand.
You've lost 8 in a row?
I need
8 in a row.
All right, come up with a pick. Let's go streak with Hard Rock Bet.
Time to put your money where your mouth is.
We can't lose. We can't lose. We can't lose.
Survive and Advance is the name of the game.
That's right! We can't have anyone freak out there, okay? We've got to keep our composure.
Tail the hot hand.
Continue this improbable run. 22 consecutive wins.
And fade the cooler.
Everything you touch turns to mush. People go to the racetrack and the teller will give him his tickets already ripped out.
Let's go streaking.
We're going streaking! Yeah!
Presented by Hard Rock Bet.
All right. Christian Cat, our loser of 8 straight when we're going streaking with Hard Rock Bet. We're trying to put together some things here, so you got a quick bet for us? What are you taking?
I'm listening to too much, theoretically speaking. Theo has made his impact on me. I'm a sucker, and I'm taking the Timberwolves +8. So if you want to make money, bet the Thunder -8.
Yeah, I think that series is probably over tonight. By the way, I finally lost. I was win 7. I'm sick to my stomach.
So what are you taking?
took my pick.
So you can take a pick right now.
No, I didn't. I'm not.
You're abstaining?
I'm OKC. Fine, I'll go OKC. I'll fade Christian.
I was going to take the OKC there as well. MLB, I like the sound of taking...
Hang on. I'll let you take Oklahoma City, too.
I don't want to anymore. Toronto against Texas on the road, +120. That will be my pick.
Right,
winner of 3 straight. Christian Cat, Mike Rizzo, Colin Russo. Russo and Rizzo saying so long. Back at it tomorrow, 4 to 6 p.m. on ESPN 106.3.
Is your air or water flowing perfectly in your home? If the answer is no, EDS is yes. Theo here, and for me, EDS Air Conditioning and Plumbing is